Okay, since XRP is dumping, let's conduct a weekly recap of the situation. How strange, and it's also taking place on a Sunday, isn't it? They informed us that Sundays are when XRP typically dumps. Very odd. No guys, it isn't. This has been happening every Sunday for ages. Isn't there a dump? It's the most hilarious thing ever, but in today's video we'll discuss current events because there are some intriguing developments on the XRP charts. Bitcoin, huh? And even if you guys are dominating, let's discuss it so we can know what comes next, because I believe this week, alright, it's already starting to look like it will be really volatile. The Fed meeting rate cut decision, gentlemen, is the reason, and typically at these gatherings. There are numerous whiplash maneuvers. Alright, you will perform a sideways, upward, downward, backward, and forward flip. Guys, they're going to do everything from front flips to back flips, so let's get ready. What do we have here? Now, this is my guide sheet for XRP, guys. Keep in mind this chart to see what it will do next. Okay, let's test out these charts. I said, well, where have we been? Here we were. This candle wick is visible to all of you, right? It dumped after making a perfect touch. It's functioning. So guys, this chart is functioning right now. Correct? Since the last time I discussed it, I droughted these lines, right? A few days ago or whatever. Now we informed you that the extra P must be greater than 218 because we rejected them, which is at $2.18. Then right here, 233 is the big one. However, additional P is coming back down for support if it was rejected there. The first support area would be in the area of $2.90 males, or roughly 295. Since it held it twice, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times, or roughly 5 times, let's assume that $2.95 would be a significant support. Let's just say, guys, all over this area. This area served as support for the additional piece of charting. Alright, yes, however, alright, so we discussed that. Keep an eye out for support people around the $2.95 area. It's just going to range aside from that. By the way, this channel is right here. The last time it did this, it simply ranged till it decided to go down, right? Then it ranged here and decided to go up. It may just range, in which case it will decide whether to move upward or downward, but we will be aware of it when we arrive. I wanted to discuss the RSI at this point, because the 2 weekly, alright folks, there are some warning indications for XRP. About 45 minutes after I record this video, the 2-week RSI will confirm a triple bearish divergence. All of these bearish confirmations are going to hit people at 8 p.m. EST. All of these bearish confirmations, alright, a triple bearish divergence is set to be verified on the 2 weekly charts for XRP, which is negative, but however, the Fed rate decrease is one of the bullish drivers, which is why I believe we will consolidate until the ETFs for XRP become live. Alright, that is what I intend to do here, or at least what I believe will occur, but that is for XRP. XRP is now out of the way. Lovely. On the other side, gentlemen, Bitcoin is actually far scarier than XRP, so let's move on. What do we have here, Bitcoin? The 3 weekly, let's go. By the way, these timelines are really significant. It's a huge duration, men, the 3 weeks. It literally takes a year to travel from this place to this area. Alright, that's the extent of the time frame. You must therefore pay attention when these indicators flash specific signals and confirm. About 43 minutes after this video was recorded, the 3 weekly is about to confirm a triple bearish divergence. It's gonna be confirmed, guys. Well, for additional P, hasn't even come close to confirming or even triggering, but for Bitcoin it has. Therefore, in my opinion, Bitcoin is weaker than XRP. Therefore, we must affirm, folks, that justice did really state that it would be bearish. Alright, however, because of the external catalysts that are approaching, things could shift and get volatile. Alright, so that's Bitcoin out of the way. Lovely, this chart is our favorite. Now, let's talk about this chart as we haven't discussed it in a long time. However, you all recall the 5-day chart's main purpose. Have any of you forgotten? Not at all. There is a truly crazy war going on. Wow. Alright, crazy fight. If everyone were to simply glance at the chart, what would you all notice if you did so right now? We were up there the last time we discussed this chart, correct? The entire cryptocurrency market was held down by the yellow moving average, which we were above. This chart showed it as support, but it showed it as resistance, correct? Because what cryptos do is the opposite of this. This chart soared and our cryptocurrency dominated because it served as support here. Now what is it doing? It's fighting for its life. It failed in its attempt to hold it here. All well, then it rose, and now it's below it, which is great. I was hoping to see that. Additionally, the moving average is currently at roughly 4.32%, folks. Alright, in the next 3 days there will be a lot of volatility if we can close below this level, which is 4.32% today. I'm not even sure whether that will happen, but if it does, that's great news because the next candle will most likely shut below and then hold it as resistance. At last, since it's currently being fought, the true question is if it can even close below the right 3 days. Anything can happen in 3 days, right? White swans, black swans, who knows what will happen, especially this week when things are going to go haywire in either direction. Make sure you're ready, guys. In my opinion, I wouldn't worry too much about anything this week because things will get hectic. Since there are a number of updates to 3 weekly being confirmed today, I made this video to, check what's happening on. When all of these other measures start to fire off after you guys watch this video, it will happen. Alright, some are bullish, while others are bearish. Thus we must simply rely on our intuition and wait to see what occurs. Let this moment of consolidation come to an end. And what will happen to 10 to 13% XRP when it does, guys? Perhaps even $20 annually. And why is it? Because of the ETFs. Alright, so this is what you should be on the lookout for, anticipate, and keep going. That's just a month away. It's nothing. I waited for a long time. How many years? 5 years plus 6, 7, 8. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, therefore you can't wait another month for the ETFs to activate. Since it has never happened before, they are literally going to create it here, isn't that right? Which will invest a significant amount of money in the assets in a month. It's time to go as soon as this stage is over. Again, I have a complete theory about how prices rise to such high levels, but it all comes down to a series of catalysts that sort of come together to create the ideal storm for it to occur. I believe we should do the bare minimum, if it's just the ETFs. Let's assume that we are 90% certain that ETFs will occur, eventually. Therefore I believe that XRP would be a very reasonable 10 to 13. Perhaps even $20 or $25 XRP. Whoa, those people are the main target for everyone, thus they're worth $10 or even $10. That's similar to thus hitting the higher dollar objective of XRP is a crazy milestone that unlocks a new realm. $10 is the next crazy milestone in the dollar range. Why? Because the next threshold is that, the next dimension to be reached is that one. Layers of rice. Think of it as layers. It activates $10 to $9.90 if you hit $10. Alright, $100 to $999 is the next dimension above that. By the way, the range from $10 to $9.90 is activated as soon as you hit 10. Alright, to be honest, we had to hit there. Guys, picture just getting along before that ever happens. If it works, that is going to be absolutely amazing. Correct? Wow, I guess. They also consider the possibility of doing so by the end of the year. Matt is exactly in line with what I believe to be consolidating in this case. When ETFs went live, they were wildly popular. That's all. If ETFs are introduced this year, you should be able to see that level of liquidity move in by the end of the year, or by this time next year. Once more, I believe that more factors will come together to force it to rise well above that. Only the ETFs, those price points in my opinion, make the most sense. You already know why consolidation isn't always a negative thing. This is due to the fact that when we observe these indicators, like the RSI on the longer time frames, like the 3-week for instance, if we observe consolidation, or if we simply observe that Bitcoin is moving similarly to XRP, but the RSI is currently below a particular pivot, that is a bullish divergence. Well, it's gonna blow up, isn't it? In actuality, consolidation occurs when prices do not drop, while the indications calm off. Difficult, correct? That's consolidation, and then the energy builds up for the subsequent blast-off moment. And we're gonna dump the market for a while, so this might be in line with what we're thinking because no one believes it, but that's the reality.